Thank you, Hung. Thank you everyone for taking the time to join us this evening. Tonight, I'll be presenting Mass DOT's bridge replacement project for Upper Road over the Deerfield River in Deerfield, Massachusetts. Some of you may know the bridge as the Stillwater Bridge. This hearing is an opportunity for us to present the general scope and current design of the project to the public, and afterwards provide an opportunity for questions and answers. Here with me is our producer this evening, Hung Pham, to go over Zoom controls.
Thank you, Chris. Once again, my name is Hung Pham. Thank you for attending tonight. I am one of the Mass DOT producers this evening and providing the technical support and facilitating questions. I am with me, Kit McLuey, who is another producer, and she will be helping me facilitating that Q&A at the end of the presentation. Let me take a moment to go through the Zoom basics, if you may. If you'd like to call in or having technical issues regarding hearing us or whatnot, you can always call in at 312-626-6799. Please use the webinar ID 896-4672-1871. Once again, the phone number is 312-626-6799, and the webinar ID is 896-4673-1871. The Zoom tech can be reached if you're having technical issues altogether with Zoom and I cannot help you at that point. Please dial the 88 number you see on the right-hand side. It is 888-799-9666. Once again, it's 888-799-9666. And if you like to use the Zoom automatic closed captioning features, please click the CC button at the bottom of the screen. And remember that it's not technically accurate. And I will try to speak slowly so that it can capture my spoken language or speech. You are joined this meeting muted and without video, but if we will do that Q&A session later on, as I mentioned. I will allow you to unmute your microphone, and then there you can voice your comments and questions. If you would like to verbally ask that questions and comments, you can use the raise hand icon to indicate that you wish to speak. Or if you choose not to speak altogether, please use the Q&A icon and then write your questions and comments. You can write your questions and comments throughout the presentation, and then we can address it at the end of the presentation. As you notice, while filing into this hearing, this public hearing is being recorded, and Mass DOT may choose to retain and distribute the images, audio, and Q&A transcript from this hearing. All parts of this hearing is considered a public record. If you are not comfortable with being recorded or being on record altogether, you can refrain from using the Q&A feature, or you may choose to excuse yourself from the hearing. Information from this hearing will be posted on the mass.gov website. The little caveat at the very bottom the slide here is just basically reiterating what I said earlier, is that the microphone and webcams are disabled upon entering the hearing. The hearing is open to the Q&A session at the end, and I have set up a survey. So when you exit Zoom at the end of the presentation, it will pop up. So I would appreciate it if you provide any feedback that you may have. It is very important to us because it helps us improve this virtual experience. This slide's about diversity and civil rights. If you'd like to learn more about our policy, please go to www.mass.gov/non-discrimination-in-transportation-program. Once again, is www.mass.gov/non-discrimination-in-transportation-program. Or you can reach out to our Office of Diversity and Civil Rights. And thank you for joining for this meeting tonight. We appreciate your participation. And I will hand this over to Chris to present the project. Chris?
Thank you, Hung. This specific public hearing was advertised through various sources shown on this slide, including local newspapers, regional and local government social media accounts and websites, as well as these other organizations listed. Here's a summary of the key topics we'll cover in this presentation. It also shows the approximate limits of the project, which includes the bridge carrying Upper Road over the Deerfield River, as well as the immediate approaches. At the end of the presentation, we'll have an opportunity for questions. To help better answer the questions posed, we have a panel listed here representing contributors and stakeholders of the project, including representatives of Mass DOT, the project design firm Green International, and the town of Deerfield. Shown here is a timeline of key milestones for the project. The project was initiated at the state level in 2018. The design process includes multiple steps and submittals. We've completed the 25% design stage this past summer and are currently conducting the design public hearing, which will trigger the next stage of design, permitting, and the right-of-way process. Our current schedule anticipates advertising the project to contractors at the start of 2026. Now we'll take a closer look at why this project was initiated. There are several reasons why this bridge has been selected for a full replacement by Mass DOT. Those familiar with the existing bridge may recognize the weight posting sign shown in the photo. This signage is in place because deterioration to the bridge over time has reduced its load carrying capacity below the federal minimum requirements for certain trucks. Many of you may also be aware of the prior rehabilitation projects on the bridge piers within the limits of the Deerfield River. High flood events like Hurricane Irene have caused scour and undermining of the pier footings. Scour is the underwater erosion of the materials below the footings. Lastly, the existing bridge width is substandard for the roadway's classification, as well as for the needs of the local community. Here we have some photos of the existing bridge that highlight the deterioration just mentioned. On the left is a photo of the existing bearings, which are over-rotated. These bearings are intended to accommodate the expansion and contraction of the bridge beams due to hot and cold temperatures. However, they're no longer performing as intended. Photo on the right shows the existing concrete bridge deck from below the bridge. Concrete bridge deck supports the roadway and the bridge railing. You can see that there's a missing concrete material and exposed steel reinforcement that is rusting. The photo on the left here is one of the existing bridge piers. You can see the steel sheeting that surrounds the footprint of the existing pier. This is part of the repairs performed after Irene to stop and counteract the scour and the undermining of the bridge footing caused by that high flood event. On the right is a photo of the bridge joints, which are visible on the top side of the structure. These joints are in poor condition and are not functioning as intended, allowing runoff and salts to leak into the steel beams below. The photo on the left shows the deterioration and corrosion of the existing steel beams below the failing bridge joints. The corrosion from the water and salts causes loss of the steel material due to rusting and is the primary reason for the reduction in the load carrying capacity. On the right, you can see evidence of erosion even at the end of the bridge. The high flood events the bridge is now seeing more frequently are greater than what was anticipated in the original design. Now that we've identified why the project is needed, we'll delve into what we hope to accomplish. There are a lot of components to this project, but the project scope can be summarized with a couple of key objectives. Our goal in replacing the existing Stillwater Bridge is to provide the community with a new structure designed to all the current standards that better serves the needs of the local community. To do this, we need to meet all load carrying minimum requirements, and provide a wider overall structure that matches the widths and geometry of the approach roadways. We will design the new piers and abutments based on the current code updates for the magnitude and frequency of large storm events. The existing bridge allows runoff to fall directly into the Deerfield River, while our new design will contain and treat this runoff. We also plan to adjust the north approach roadway to improve sight distance and rideability by flattening the vertical curve. Lastly, our plan, based on early coordination with the utility owners and stakeholders, is to bring the overhead wires that cross the river onto the bridge to improve access and maintenance. To achieve our project scope, there were several alternatives to review early in the design process. For the structure itself, we reviewed the advantages and disadvantages of rebuilding the abutments and piers in the same locations or building them in new locations to eliminate one of the piers. The existing bridge is shown in the top left, which is a 4-span configuration and has 3 piers. Sketch on the bottom left is a 3-span configuration with only 2 piers within the channel. We also reviewed options for using shallow foundations or deeper foundation types like steel-driven piles. This decision is primarily dictated by the results of the soil investigation performed as part of the design process and the bedrock profile. Lastly, we knew that a wider bridge was required, but we reviewed options for widening. The bridge could be widened to the west, to the east, or symmetric about the center line. These options each had different impacts on right-of-way, permitting, and traffic accommodation. The previous slide discussed the alternatives considered for the permanent structure. We also reviewed options for how to build the structure and the temporary impacts on traffic. Both a full detour of Upper Road through the project limits, as well as a staged construction approach, were considered. For the staged construction option, only a 1-lane alternating approach was considered viable due to the site constraints as well as the narrowness of the existing bridge. After reviewing viable alternatives, our 25% design plans reflect the preferred alternative. Here is a sketch of the typical cross-section of our proposed bridge alternative. As you can see, we provide 2 11-foot lanes and 2 5-foot wide shoulders. The proposed bridge railing is crash tested to all the latest state and federal standards. We moved forward with a 3-span configuration with continuous steel beams and reinforced concrete deck. The change to 3 spans from 4 removes a pier wall from the limits of the river and places the new pier in a location that is less susceptible to scour based on the bedrock profile below the water. The 3-span continuous steel beam structure is more efficient and will have a metallized coating to protect the beams from water and salts. The new concrete abutments and pier walls will be designed for the latest storm and flooding events. Our efforts to develop the 25% design deliverables includes reviewing the right-of-way impacts of our preferred alternative. Zach Fury from MassDOT's Right-of-Way Bureau will now go over the right-of-way process.
Thank you, Chris. When the Commonwealth, acting through its Massachusetts Department of Transportation Highway Division, indicated it would accept this project for funding, the town of Deerfield accepted certain responsibilities. One of these responsibilities is acquiring the necessary rights in private and public lands for the design, construction, and public use of this project. My function is to review and recommend procedures that the town of Deerfield will use in acquiring these rights. The procedures used must comply with both federal and state regulations. Affected property owners' rights are protected under Massachusetts general laws, primarily Chapter 79. And because this project is receiving federal funds, the property owner's rights are further defined under Title III of the Real Property Act of 1970 as amended. The current design plans indicate that the project requires 13 permanent easements and 5 temporary easements. The property owners impacted by this project will be contacted by Town of Deerfield municipal officials, who will present the proposed impacts to each owner and discuss the methods by which the needed rights for the project may be acquired. Frequently, municipalities will appeal for donations to minimize the acquisition cost for the community. Donations, however, are not required, and property owners are entitled to appraisal, review appraisal, and just compensation. Right-of-way documents will be provided to each owner to help them understand the acquisition process and how the project affects their property. Copies of the right-of-way plans will be made available to interested parties through the Town of Deerfield's Department of Public Works. And lastly, I will be available after the presentation to help answer any questions. Thank you, and back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Zach. Now I'd like to mention bicycle and pedestrian accommodations. All MassDOT projects consider impacts to bikes and pedestrians. Our proposed bridge section increases the shoulder width from 1 foot to 5 feet. This will help to remove a constraint to any future bicycle or pedestrian facilities that may be brought to the area. However, these items are not part of our bridge replacement scope due to limited funding, environmental and right-of-way impacts, as well as a low demand for bicycle and pedestrian access. The wider shoulders will also provide increased clearance for farm equipment, which frequently crosses the bridge. How will this project impact the environment and other resources? No permanent resource impacts have been identified from this project since the new bridge is within a similar footprint to the existing structure. There are multiple environmental permits that will be obtained as part of the design process for both the final condition and the temporary impacts from construction. However, these are within the normal process of a bridge replacement project over the Deerfield River. Our permitting process will also identify potential wildlife habitats and address impacts to vegetated wetlands. There are very minor impacts to the adjacent fish and wildlife parcel to the east, and we have already held early coordination meetings with them, along with the upstream dam and adjacent property owner, Great River Hydro. Constructability is an essential consideration during the design process as well. As noted earlier in the alternatives section, a full detour and staged construction were both evaluated. The current design is based on using staged construction with one travel lane being maintained during construction using temporary traffic signals. Conventional construction techniques will be used with no accelerated techniques or nighttime work anticipated. At this time, we anticipate construction to take 3 years due to the staging and the scope of work within the river. During stage 1, you can see the typical section graphic. A 15-foot wide lane will be maintained on the existing bridge. A portion of the existing bridge will be demolished, and a portion of the new bridge will be constructed on the west side, as shown in the plan view. Temporary traffic signals will be installed on either end of the bridge to control the one-lane alternating condition. The 15-foot wide temporary lane is being provided to accommodate larger equipment as well as for winter conditions. During stage 2, the open lane and work area are flipped, as you can see in the plan view graphic. Traffic is now shifted onto the newly constructed western portion of the bridge, and the eastern limits can be demolished and rebuilt, as shown in the typical section. There will be impacts to traffic based on the staged construction just discussed, based on the one-lane alternating condition. The temporary signal timing will be optimized for safety and traffic accommodation to reduce delays as much as possible while allowing for emergency overrides. It's still early in the design process, but we anticipate that certain deliveries and crane activities will require a full closure of the bridge for short windows of time. This is due to safety concerns and will not be a frequent occurrence over the course of the project. These closures will each last less than a day, oftentimes less than an hour. When the closures occur, the detour route shown on the screen is the proposed side route. We plan to coordinate with the town to determine the best ways to alert the traveling public to these short-term closures during construction. As part of the improvements to the project, the vertical profile of Upper Road on the north approach is going to be adjusted. During stage 2, we anticipate there will be a 2 to 3 week period where a temporary regrading work will need to occur to reconnect Upper Road and Lower Road at the intersection. While this regrading work occurs, the detour route shown on the screen will be in effect for Lower Road. For the staged construction, 1-lane alternating condition, and for the 2 proposed detours, a combination of static signage and portable changeable message signs will be used by the contractor to alert drivers of the traffic pattern changes. Here are some examples of that signage. Now that we've walked through the project, let's go over the next steps. After the hearing, we'll advance our design to the 75% design level by summer of 2023. According to the latest project schedule, the final design of the bridge is on track to be completed by fall of 2023. You'll notice the project is not anticipated to be advertised until the beginning of 2026. The reason for the lag between final design and advertisement is based both on the availability of funding and for allowing adequate time for permitting and the right-of-way process. The project also has property impacts to Great River Hydro, the owner and operator of the upstream dam. Review of the project impacts relative to their federal permit introduces another layer of complexity. We've already held an early coordination meeting with a representative from Great River Hydro and will continue to be proactive during the design of the project. Keeping the public informed will be an ongoing effort coordinated between Mass DOT and other stakeholders. All questions and comments can be emailed or written and mailed to the addresses provided on this slide. You can also visit the Mass DOT Design Public Hearing website link below using the URL or the QR code. All this information is also available on the DPH flyer that was developed by Mass DOT for the project. I'll now turn the presentation over to our producer, Hung Pham, to go over the question and answer process.
Thank you, Chris. I'm pretty sure at this point it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'd like to go over the, well, reiterate myself on the Q&A segment of our presentation. If you'd like to verbally ask your question, once again, there's a raise your hand button at the lower bottom. There, I will allow you to unmute your microphone so you can ask that question or provide a comments. You can submit the Q&A question by typing it out. Please use the Q&A icon at the bottom. Before you state your comments and provide any questions, please state your name and your affiliation. That way we can follow up with you at the end if we need to write back any answers that we need to articulate in a more formal manner. I see that there are 9 people in attendance. Let me double check. 10. Correction. So please, we don't want everybody to participate. So, limit your questions to about like 2 minutes and ask 1 question at a time. I see that no one's dialing in, so I'm not going to go through that dialing in process. But what's really important is the survey and your participation in that survey. Please fill in the survey because your feedback is very important to us. And all questions and comments are subject to disclosure of the public records. So please use these functions for project-related business only. And with that, we'll open it to the public and any elected officials who would like to ask questions or provide comments in support of this project. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So we have a question in the Q&A box. Jim Perry, President, Deerfield River Watershed Association, email drwa@deerfieldriver.org. Issue: the south approach and its abutments are very heavily used by the public to access the river for recreation. Resource impacts: identify impacts to the human environment, including recreational access to the Deerfield River for use of the river for tubing, rafting, boating, swimming, and fishing. Design concerns: human recreation access to the river down both sides of the south approach has caused severe erosion of the abutment embankments to the point of exposing the bridge supports. Question: how will the abutments be designed to accommodate human recreation access to the river without creating excessive erosion and undermining abutments? And again, that was from Jim Perry, the president of the Deerfield River Water Association.
Thank you, Jim, for that question. Tiffany, is this something that you feel like elaborating on a little bit? Some of the discussions we've had.
Sure. So we have held early coordination meetings with some of the public entities for recreation for the local community at the state level. And we've had these discussions about potential accommodations for recreational activity. It has not been included in any of our design plans up to the 25% level. But we've had those initial discussions and we've had that brought to our attention. So we are going to continue to coordinate on that and see how to best incorporate that into the project moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim, for that question. Our next question in the Q&A box is from an anonymous attendee. How will the 3-year-old bridge construction affect passive recreation use at the bridge area, especially during summer months? Will there be measures to control the use volume and keep visitors to the bridge area safe?
Thank you for that question.
I'm guessing that that it's kind of in the similar vein of the previous response that I gave about, we've been coordinating with the public entities and the property owners for where that access has occurred, to try to determine what accommodations we can make, potentially upstream or downstream of the bridge, but that's an ongoing effort. And we haven't included any of that in our design up to this point, but it's brought to our attention and we'll continue to discuss how we can incorporate it.
Thank you. And those are all of the questions. Oh, we have another question from Margaret Nardowitz. Will heavy construction equipment be staged on Upper Road?
So at this time, we are not, able to determine what contractor means and methods will definitively be. There is an assumption that there will be probably a dual effort from the contractor to stage relative closer to the water as well as, on the top side areas. But we do, plan to obviously allocate the 1-lane alternating condition to keep traffic flowing on all the approaches for the duration of construction.
Great, thank you. Caroline, I very much apologize that I was click happy, for lack of a better word. Please, the floor is yours in a sense.
First off, I just want to say thank you very, very much for including the alternating 1-lane construction design. This would be horrible if this bridge was closed down for 3 years completely. It would have so tremendous impact on people living on Upper Road and Lower Road, but also our farmers that depend on traffic. So thank you very, very much for doing that. I know it was incredibly more expensive to do that, but I appreciate it. One of my concerns, which has been raised by the questions, but I really want it on record, is that we have overuse of that area. It's just natural riverbank, and people use that as an access point. So there are going to be conflicts. And we need to discuss this recreational access. We have, as a town, have a hard time managing that area during the summer months. If it's a bloody hot weekend, there could be 100 people there. And even during the week, you would see like half those numbers if it's hot. So this would be a problematic, and we'll have to sort this out. And I hope we'll have continuing conversations on this. And also, like I said, just design at some point really needs to take in consideration that people are in that area all the time. So it needs to be, human proof or something. I don't know how you want to say it. Some of the other concerns that have been brought up to me are there's going to be railings on the side of the bridge. How high are they going to be? Do you know? There's a lot of people that fish off the bridge. So that was sort of a concern.
Understood. So the standard bridge railing that we're proposing right now is 42 inches high.
Okay, perfect. And then is there a color choice that we might have to paint the railings afterwards?
That was my question too.
Okay, I think there was a few
Superficial, but it's like so important,
Yeah. So,
green would be great.
yeah, if we could have green or some more environmentally pleasant color.
The railing and I think the understructure as well is kind of where we're.
Yeah.
It's such a gorgeous area, and how it fits into the to the nature there. It really it sounds superficial, but it does mean a lot.
So just
No, definitely. That's definitely something that can be taken into consideration as the town's preferences. So we can have a follow-up meeting and
Great.
Document your guys's request.
thank you
Perfect.
so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to echo that somebody from the audience did say that neutral color railing would be preferred. So yeah.
Yep.
And Trevor, do you have any
Yes,
additional
sure.
follow-up?
Other than color? Yeah, so thank you so much. We're so grateful for your participation and help with this massive project, on behalf of the town. It's really going to help the whole region out. So what kind of piqued my interest a little bit was the land taking and some of the work the town needs to do with that. So anyway, you may have already touched base with Casey on this, and our town administrator, whatever help we can
Trevor,
offer, and get working on that.
I may have to say this, but when you asked your question, your internet may have lagged a little bit. If you can reiterate that, because I cannot hear.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So if you can hear me, my question was just help with the compliance with the land taking, and just any advice. I think you said you had sent some stuff to the town, and maybe working with Casey Warren, our town administrator, and whatever help we can do to kind of get that in the works and figure out what's temporary, what's permanent, and what we need to do.
Yeah, thank you for that, Trevor. We have met a few times with our MassDOT right-of-way section, and we did meet with the two biggest landowners, Great River Hydro. Well, we had a call with them, and we met with the Department of Fish and Wildlife also. So the coordination is in the works.
Great.
I don't know if anyone wants to elaborate on that, but.
Were there any residents that were affected by land taking? I know that there's a family that lives kind of near the bridge, I think on Lower Road, but I didn't know if they would be part of that at all, or it would affect their land.
So
I will double check the right-of-way plans, but I believe only in the temporary condition.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Great.
Also, I know that when we talked to Mass DOT right away, Zach and Pam, they had actual recommendation for the town for a law firm to help who's gone through this process before.
Thank you.
I see Caroline's hand is raised again. Caroline.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. For some reason, my video won't unblock. It says unable to start video. So it doesn't really matter. You don't need to see my face, but I just wanted you to be aware that Great River Hydro has sold to Quebec Hydro. So whatever you've decided might be an issue for them. You'll have to reach out and restart all kinds of discussions with them.
Yeah, we had heard that. So it could either be, more work, or it could actually be good timing, because as part of the buyout, the FERC permit is getting re-reviewed. So it might actually be a good moment for just these types of discussions. So right now we're hoping for glass half full, and it's actually good timing.
Good. I appreciate that. Their releases are like a 20-year storm kind of level of raising of the water and lowering of the water. So, during the regular cycle, obviously if it's a storm and they have to release, it's different, but in their normal operation, it has the impact of a 20-year storm. And so just to have you have that information for your design.
Thank you.
And that, their release schedule, you can get their release schedule, so you know how often that will occur.
Mhm.
Thank you. We have a question or a comment in the chat from Margaret Nardowitz. As residents of the immediate area, Stillwater Road, we would greatly appreciate communications with respect to design, construction activity, and traffic patterns. Thank you very much to MassDOT for this initial design hearing.
I just want to reiterate again, thank you so much. We really appreciate this, having you work on this. I have worked for years, literally years, to keep this on your list. So I'm so thrilled that we've got this far.
We're getting there.
I'm talking like since 2005. So
Carolyn Ness Memorial Bridge.
So it will be literally 20 years by the time you get ready to go on this. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
I'm sorry if one of you or any of you, all of you look pretty young, so it probably wasn't haunting you, but I was certainly haunting enough meetings on this. So we appreciate it.
Yeah, we're very grateful.
Thank you. We have a question in the chat again from Margaret. Will a list of hearing attendees be made available? And I don't think a list of attendees will be available to the public. However, if you want the contact of somebody on the panel, you can email the project team and they can reach out to you via that way if you want to email them. Unfortunately, Hung's computer crashed to his screen sharing, but he is restarting his laptop, so he will be back. But at the moment, we don't have any questions. So I'll use this time to remind folks that a Zoom survey will pop up automatically once you leave this hearing. And if you could just take it'll take like less than a minute to fill out of how this hearing went for you. We greatly appreciate that feedback.
Happy
Thanks.
to do that.
And yeah, very short line for Q&A, so ask away.
Kit, do you have the slide for how to submit questions?
I can pull that up. I also see Hung is back though.
Okay.
Awesome.
There it is.
Thanks.
I apologize for that. No matter how prepared you are, technology is always going to throw a wrench at your operation. So very much apologize. I'd like to reiterate here in a little bit. Seems like You can provide your feedback. Please email, which is the preferred way, at dot.feedback.highway@state.ma.us. If you'd like to have more information or get more information regarding the project, also get it, that QR code that you see in the lower left side of your screen. You get your cell phone out and point at the QR.
Thank you very much, and happy holidays to everyone. I appreciate you doing this.
Same to you.
Thanks for joining us, Carolyn.
Yeah, thank you all. Thank you all very much. Have a nice night. Appreciate the help. Look forward to working with you more.
Very
We
much.
really appreciate it. Thank you.
And please attend, make the attention to that written comment with major projects, and please use the project number 608634. And also use that project number where if you choose to write your comments and questions through the email. And that way we can sort it out and adjust your comments appropriately.
Great.
And once again, I apologize for my technical issues.
No worries.
That's
I
all
was
right.
blaming on Trevor earlier. It's like, it's your fault, but I know to be mine. So very much, I apologize for that.
No, we're all used to it by now.
But regardless, you don't have to wait until you submit your, comments and questions through email. You can ask it now so that we can provide that human feedback at this point.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with everything I've seen so far. So,
I'm
good.
thrilled. We're
Yep.
thrilled.
Yep.
And if you have any problems or any issues, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be glad to work with you. And we're really happy that you're committed to the project.
So we'll get the survey when we leave. Is that the idea?
Yes, the survey that the survey that I posted up should be there.
We'll pop out when we close. Okay, great.
Yes.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.
No problem, Kevin.
So Chris, would you like to close the hearing?
Yep. Since there are no more questions at this time, it's now 7:18. And the hearing is now closed. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Bye.